Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing a review on Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. Love, Hate, and Other Filters is a brand new novel that came out this past January, and it follows our main character Maya Aziz, who is an Indian American Muslim teen living in Chicago. She is torn between her parents wanting her to stay in Chicago for college and stay close, and her wanting to go off to film school in New York. Then one day, a terrorist attack happens in Illinois, her state, and there's this intense Islamophobia going on in her town, and she has to deal with that. For most of the review, I'm going to be keeping it spoiler free, but for the most of the review, I'm also going to keeping the book down. But when the spoilery sections do come up, I'm going to be holding the book up like this, and once the book is gone from the screen, then you know that the spoiler is gone. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So first of all, I'm going to start out with how Maya is an Indian American Muslim teen, and I am a Pakistani American Muslim teen, so I could relate to a lot of some of the religious and cultural aspects of this book, which I really enjoyed. But I give this book 4 out of 5 stars, and a lot of the parts I did like, but a lot of the parts I found cliche or stereotypical. For example, in this book, it starts out with Maya going to a wedding, and there it seems like every mother is obsessed with finding a husband for her daughter, which in some cultures it can be true, but I just didn't like that because it portrays a very stereotypical image of an Indian family where they're just looking for a husband for their daughter as soon as she becomes of age. And in this book, Maya's mom is also pushing her to become closer to this boy, just because she wants to keep an option for her when Maya is old enough to get married. Right now, Maya is a senior in high school, which is like young. She's like 18. That's like still young to get married. Like even in India, like a lot of people do get married around that age, but that's still young. So that aspect of the book I just didn't like reading about because it felt very stereotypical. Another aspect I necessarily didn't like, and that was the insta love. Maya did have a crush on her a long time schoolmate of hers that she's known since she was young, and finally he's been showing some interest in her throughout the book. And then also this Indian American boy who his parents obviously approve of and they want her to get closer to, so of course she has options when she will get married. But oh my god, like half this book was just about her crush, her dates, and it was a lot. It was very, very cliche and insta love, and I just didn't like that part about the book because it was like half the book. At the end of the day, I didn't think this book would be that full of the insta love and the cliche, but eventually it was, and that's one part of the book I didn't like. And like again, I said I could really relate to the main character in some ways because her culture and religion is very close to my culture and religion, and some of her thoughts were very mirroring my own thoughts that I have sometimes, and it was a really enjoyable read because of that. The only other book I read which kind of portrays my culture is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, because that follows an Indian girl and her culture was very close to my culture because Pakistani and Indian culture is very similar in some ways. But yes, that part of the book I really liked. Okay, now I'm gonna go into one of my favorite characters of the book, which is Maya's best friend Violet. Violet is shown as this girl who can get any guy she wants, and Maya really admires that or like envies that about her. But Violet, at the end of the day, she's a very good friend. Like she sticks with Maya, like whenever something happens, anything, like even when Islamophobia comes up, Violet's always by her side. She helps her, she sticks with her whenever she needs help, and I loved that about her because we don't have enough best friends shown like that in YA novels, and I really loved that about this book. Violet is hands down one of my favorite characters in Love, Hate, and Other Filters, and yeah, I just loved her support. I loved their friendship. The next character that was also one of my favorite characters of this book was Maya's aunt Hina. Now Hina is shown as this very independent woman. She is in her 40s, she's not married yet, which is very, very different from what Indian culture is like. But Hina does her own thing. She lives in Chicago. She's a graphic designer, and she's just living in her own life, and I love that about her because in this book she's breaking the stereotypes that is shown about Indian culture and about how the marriage is very important, because even in my family, marriage is important. Like once you're in your late 20s or like mid to late 20s, your family's kind of like, oh, you should get married, you should like shouldn't be alone, and like yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's sometimes, yeah, I don't know, it just seems like everyone's marriage obsessed in my family. Like in my family, I don't think you'll ever meet someone that's like 40 and not married. Like that's very, very rare. So I really admired Hina for what she wants to do. She's doing what she wants. She's a graphic designer. She's living on her own. She's super independent. And in this book, she's also a very big role model for Maya, because she is this figure that supports Maya in what she wants to do, and is always by her side, and is not obsessed with marriage, and wants Maya to go to film school in New York. And she's on her side, Maya's side, when Maya's telling her parents about it. But yeah, overall I love Hina. So this next part is a spoiler, so I will be keeping this book up until the spoiler is gone. One of the scenes that enraged me so much in this book is near the end of this book is when Maya's parents disown her. Like, what the heck? This is a scene where Maya tells her parents that she has been accepted to NYU, the film school that she wants to go to, and they are really angry about it and how that she's hid it from them, and then eventually they say it's either New York or it's your parents, and she chooses New York, and so they respond with, oh, you are dead to us now. Which I felt so bad for Maya. Like, I don't know why, but it's just that I didn't like that scene at all. Like, her parents are saying, like, she's 18 and her parents are saying like, oh, because you're going to New York and this school, you're not our daughter anymore. And then Hina does try to console Maya and saying, oh, they'll get around to it, they'll understand. But that scene just overall just made me very sad and uncomfortable. Because I don't know, I didn't like that scene at all. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Muslim representation in this book. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to pick up this book was because of the Muslim representation in this novel, which I was hoping would be amazing. This is an Own Voices novel. I'm pretty sure Samira Ahmed is also an Indian Muslim, and this book was different than I thought. Like, sidetrack from the Muslim representation, this book talks about how it talks about the terrorist attack that happens in her state, and how everyone like chooses to go against her, and many people, and that's how it's marketed, and that's what it says in the summary of the book on the dust jacket. But overall, that was not what it was. Like, I was reading the book and it was literally the halfway mark when it, like, that part of the story came in, and I understand like a terrorist attack, like, it can happen in 1 second. Like, 1 second she's talking about her crush, and the next second this principal shouting lockdown, lockdown. So I understand like this is very a split second stuff that happens, but eventually the Islamophobia part, it was more one or two people. Like, yes, it was very scary, because I'm just gonna hold up this book because I don't know if this is a spoiler, but someone did throw a brick in her parents' dental office where they work, and that Islamophobia is definitely present in this novel, as a schoolmate is very severe and hurts Maya. He's like, oh, go back to your own country and stuff like that. But overall, other than that, it was not that big of a story. Like, it was a section of the book a little bit, but then it went back to her being like, oh, I have a crush on this guy, I don't know what to do, which is not a bad thing, but it wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for more about talking about the Islamophobia, living in America with Islamophobia around you, and like living in the world today, but the book was very different than what I expected. But yes, that is my review of Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. Again, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and some parts I didn't like, but overall I really enjoyed this book and the representation in this book. But if you have read Love, Hate, and Other Filters, then comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to chat with you about it. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!